Good afternoon, everyone here on the East Coast. Good morning in the Central, Mountain, and West. Happy New Year. This is our first show of the year. We have a new show name. It's called The Wolf Den. Welcome to The Wolf Den. We have a new office here. You can see my background. I'm in my new office. And today our first guest is Chynna Morgan.
Hey.
Welcome to the show. Happy New Year. Great to have you here. I know we were scheduled for last year, but starting off the new year right here.
Yes.
Chynna, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So, hey, guys. I am the founder of GIF Out Loud. So we're an experiential music technology company. And what we do is we work with brands and music artists to develop shareable moments using your sonic identity, using your music and sound for your audience to engage with and share.
Okay, great. And how did you get to this idea? What was your background?
So I come from the entertainment background. So I've been acting since I was 7, doing theater, doing commercials. So that kind of ties into like the storytelling of what I'm doing. But I knew I had to go to school, right? Because being in the entertainment industry, there's not how should I say it? There's not a for sure that you're going to make it, right?
Right.
So I went to college and I was getting my master's in healthcare management. And then an idea just popped in my head. I said, what if we're able to add our voice to just communicate? Because I know I don't really talk on the phone anymore. All I do is text. But when we're texting so much, we're losing that person's tone of what they're really trying to say. So you're like, hold on, are they happy by texting this? Or you just don't know. So I was like, what if we're able to add our voice to just to communicate? So that's how we started off. We started off as an app. And you were able to add your voice or any music to any GIF in the world and share from your keyboard or to your social media platforms. So then I was doing that for like 2 years. I was going to like different colleges, different schools, contests for users to like download the app. And I was kind of really just doing like the grassroots of getting our users. And then Shell and Pennzoil reached out and asked me to create them their own version for the Formula One event. So I said, hold on, this is a great way for us to work with brands to monetize what we're doing and create these fun experiences using music and GIFs. So that's kind of the journey that led me here today.
A lot going on there. So let's go back and tell us a little bit about your acting career.
Yeah. So I've been doing theater since I was 7. So my dad's also a professional actor as well. So he started off in theater. So I guess I kind of just went in his footsteps when I was young. So until I was 18, I was doing commercials, doing different like TV shows. And then I just knew that I had to go to school because I need to have something to rely on if this doesn't work out. So I think that's kind of where I think GIF Out Loud ties into, because I feel like I'm creating experience that allows the brand's audience to kind of be storytellers of their brand. You know, like they're able to create this fun content that kind of conveys kind of like acting skills and emotion
Right.
that amplifies the brand's brand on social media.
Do you have a favorite commercial that you did? Was there anyone famous you worked with, a brand?
Yeah.
You didn't notice that it was you?
So I did a Toyota commercial that was national. I think it was last year. I've done Airbnb commercial. I've done eBay videos. I've done, like, I can't even remember. I've done a lot in my since I was 7. I've done a lot of stage plays. I did have you heard of The Odd Couple?
Which was it?
The Odd Couple?
Yes.
I did The Odd Couple stage play. I did Dreamgirls. I did Sparkle. So I've done a lot of different projects.
Okay. I got to give a shout out to my friend Josh Feinstein. He was in a magazine ad for Oshkosh B'gosh. It was he was very young, but he has a printout of that. So that's my
what's your
favorite friend. Oshkosh. I don't even think, are they even around anymore?
I don't know. I remember their old magazines, and it'd be like little kids, kind of like the male models, the male kids models.
Well, he was in his overalls and his mushroom haircut. It was we got my buddy Corey Soderman.
Hey, Corey.
He's part of Corey's crew, and they do music. Get a lot of people who are disabled to go to music, and Corey's the happiest kid I know, and he loves music, and we're hoping that the music comes back for him soon.
I'm thinking I think it's going to be sooner than we think. I think hopefully sometime in the summer. Let's cross our fingers, hopefully.
On a smaller scale, I guess it depends. I hear September, later in the fall. There's events that are going on now, and we'll see. So the other thing of what you said is, what percentage of people actually pronounce it correctly?
GIFs.
Okay, I call it GIF. I say a GIF.
I say GIF.
Yeah, I don't know. Do we know what is correct?
It's GIF. So the person that invented GIF said it's like GIF, like Jiffy.
Right.
So I don't think it's
Jiffy is J-I-F.
That's how it's pronounced. This is what the founder of GIF Nation said.
And who is the founder of the GIFs?
Oh gosh, the name is slipping. The name is I know it's a team of people that were working on the format of GIFs. But I have to get back to you with the name.
I love them. I think they're great. I use them all the time.
Yeah.
Especially on Twitter. I mean, I don't even need to say anything. I could just click a button and you know exactly what I'm saying.
When I started doing research, when I first started my company, I started doing so much research on it, and I realized that 1 billion GIFs are sent daily. 1 billion. I'm like, this industry is not going anywhere anytime soon because people love communicating with them,
Well, one of the frustrating things is if you're trying to find something and you can't find it, like if I write Seinfeld and I'm trying to find a specific scene, as many as there are, and there's a ridiculous amount, you can type in something and you'll get 50 different versions of the same one, but it's not what you want. I keep trying to search for things to use.
I know there's some companies, some like GIF keyboards that are trying to organize them better.
Yeah.
So you can just put in one keyword and that comes up. But I think it's hard because there's so much content out there. You just never know what people are really looking for once they're typing a certain, character or something.
Yeah. So the email has it too. Outlook 365 has a button. You just put a GIF right there in your email. I don't do it often.
Got it.
I feel like I need to do that with someone that I can joke around
with.
You don't want to just sort of throw that in.
I know you're talking to a big brand and they're like, why is he sending this?
I would do it if it's funny enough. At the end of the day, you're either going to get the joke or you're not. And if you do, it's great. Just a quick side note about that. I had a company. It was really not much of a company, but I was in the ticket printing industry. I left the ticket printing industry. I wanted to go on my own, sort of as a broker, and I named my company Vandelay Consulting.
Okay.
And I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. Seinfeld is my favorite show of all time. Vandelay Consulting, Art Vandelay was George. His Vandelay Industries was the name of the company he did. It's funny. If you know Seinfeld, it's funny. If you've heard of it, it's funny. I went on an interview with this company. They met with like 4 people. And I get a call later that night from this guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I wasn't able to interview you today. Just had a few questions for me." And he's grilling me on Vandelay. And I called my friend after. I thought my friend told him to mess with me on purpose because I'm like, either get the joke or you don't. If you know what Vandelay is, it's funny, and if you don't, then it's just another name of a company. So.
Did he get it? When he was asking you questions, did he get it, or he was?
He did. He was like just giving me a hard time about it.
Okay.
Get the job. I didn't want the job. Thankfully,
you're over it.
Yeah. Look, I think the company name is a lot about how you can interact with people and what type of attention you get. I know, I look at a company name and it draws me to figure out, oh, what is that?
Yeah.
Or even just like, they say you can't judge a book by its cover, but I judge books by its cover. I go to a library and I see all this stuff and I'm going to gravitate towards something or the other. So,
names are so complex, you know what I mean? Because like when you're starting a company, you're really trying to figure out what name is going to encompass what you do. And sometimes names are taken already, or sometimes like I know I had a hard time trademarking my name because it's all kind of like out loud. There are too many action words. Yeah. So I know, but it is easy to judge a name so a company off of its name.
Well, I mean, the good thing for your company is it's telling you what it is right there.
Yeah.
If I'm searching for a GIF, there's a chance that you can show up on that.
Oh, maybe.
I would think. I don't know. I mean, there's SEO stuff you can do anyway. I don't use that stuff because I like to grow organically, and I think if I keep doing what I'm doing, and we kind of have like a, kind of a niche category, so that stuff, it's probably going to show up. So so with regards to the company now, how has the pandemic treated you, like last year? What?
Gosh. So as you know, Matt,
short question. Sorry.
Okay, so we were like getting ready to work on some really cool activations, right? And then March hit and everything was canceled. I think South by Southwest was the first big activation to cancel. So like we're still kind of on like pins and needles, like, okay, is this really happening? And then everything kind of just canceled. So, we were sad at first, but we had to get it together real fast and try to figure out how can we stay resilient and still pivot in this climate. So we started like creating virtual experiences. But in the beginning, it shut us down because we're all about engaging in person with people and creating that excitement live, and virtual is just not the same. So I'm looking forward to, events coming back full-fledged.
Yeah, I mean, is it just a matter of whoever you were working with, you stay in touch with them, and when they do come back, you're hoping to have that experience?
Yeah. So, I think the pandemic, it has like a lot of silver linings. I was able to connect with the brands that I would never have connected with before to kind of start on activations for 2021. So we have new partnerships happening and also our old partnerships that didn't get to happen, but hopefully they'll happen this year as well.
Yeah, that was what I've always said. That was one of the best things about the pandemic, is having conversations that we probably wouldn't have had. And that includes my conversation with you. We met on LinkedIn. Maybe both of us wouldn't have had the time to sit down and talk about it. And you've now met some of my family.
Yeah. No, it's been such a blessing connecting with you because you're such a connector. And you're just, you're like a mover and shaker, Matt. You're always just trying to see what you're doing.
Everyone should be connected. Very few. I was talking about this yesterday, and it's just like very few people are actually competing with each other. Mm-hmm. So it's not like I'm Coke and you're Pepsi.
Yeah.
Right. We're both. I'm Coke and you're Doritos. Right.
Yeah.
We're in the same places and we're in the same area, but we're not really competing against each other.
Yeah.
So I just think the more people you can help, first of all, it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Good thing to do. I believe in karma, and I got a lot of help to get where I am today, and I'm still nowhere near where I need to be, but I'm very lucky and blessed. And so, I just think, we need to help each other. There's no one who's too big.
In this industry, you get a lot of people that think they're too big. I don't want to say think they're big. They just think they're working at this big company. So it's like, I don't really need you, but you always are going to need someone. You needed someone to get to where you're at. But I want to ask you a question. Do you think there's a such thing as competition in this type of industry? Do you think there should be competition, whether you're kind of in the same industry or not?
Well, yeah, competition is good, I think, is because you challenge each other, and you give each other ideas on to make it better. Like, it's not bad to have other people copy you in a sense to make their offering better. There's a lot. It just depends on what you're doing.
Competition.
You can't be the customer for everyone.
Yeah.
So, you don't. It's okay, but there should be competition. I like options.
Yeah, got it. I know. I agree. I think there's a line. I think that no one could ever do what you bring to the table. I think everyone kind of has their own formula and spice, but I do think there shouldn't be a monopoly. There should be other people in your industry so you can kind of see what they're working on and kind of have that competitive edge on it. But in terms of like when people get really competitive, everyone offers something different, whether or not you're in the same industry,
Yeah, and you can learn from each other. I mean, these people are always buying each other, so who knows? You might want to buy them, they might want to buy you.
Yeah.
I'm always, I'm happy to talk to anyone at any time. I'm not worried about someone copying me because they won't be able to do it as good as I am, or
Yeah.
the customer service that I have, or the relationships that I have. But it's it's interesting that way because I just had someone say, look, I don't know, I think we're going to be competing. I don't know if we can talk, how much we can share. And then we talked about the people who are higher up. I'll probably post something about this, but there was someone on LinkedIn who told me that I need to learn how to talk to C-level executives. And I'm like, I am a C-level executive. Like
hold on, pause. What?
Yeah, it's for another show. I can show you that. It was really odd. It was someone who's networking who didn't seem interested in networking on a networking platform.
Got it.
It was very interesting.
So how did
he? Shout out to Michael Katos and the Fan Experience.
Hey, Michael
is playing the Field app. It's check it out. Check out his podcast. Check out the app. Always good to see him out. We all like to support each other. His photo looks probably very similar to my photo. He used my podcast. I forgot the name of it. Podcast cover on Instagram. That's how you get a picture like that. So yeah, I just think everyone is, it's interesting the way people act around celebrities and the way they act around, the executives, and it's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's like they're people. They're just like anyone else. We try to put people in a hierarchy, but there's no need because there's so many humble people that are doing their thing that don't need to be put on a pedestal. So I don't treat celebrities any different than I would treat anyone else on the street.
I probably do, and there's some off factor. I think I'm less and less now. I think it's less and less now, but it's still, you're like, the thing for me is I just don't know when it's genuine that they actually are interested in talking to you. And that's the big thing for me is I'll talk to people, but I want to make sure that you're genuinely wanting to talk to me, because otherwise I don't need to talk to you. You talk about these, some of these VIP experiences, and I've been to a few, and they're just not, it's not good. There's nothing personal about it.
Yeah.
Like I got doing a cameo.
Yeah.
It's just not. They don't know you. They're not. Yeah. I got one for my wife for our wedding.
Okay.
And he met her. He had met her before at a VIP meet and greet.
Okay.
I don't know that he remembered it. It sort of looked like it was rehearsed, and it's a great idea. People should be able to give access. People want access, and that's fine. But it's just interesting.
Do you think we're giving them too much access? Do you think it's becoming kind of like a blurred line where there's no separation with
that's interesting. I mean, the technology is always going to advance, and there's just always coming up with the new thing. A lot of it's driven by money, of course. How to get the most out of our customers. I think they should focus more on the value that we're bringing.
Okay.
People spend money, but it might be more of a value to offer them more for less and then let them use that. I think you'll find that they'll use the extra money on your stuff also. Say if I come $100 to spend at your event and I spend $60 on a hoodie, and I spent $15 on a beer.
Yeah. You're still getting the same engaging, you're going home with something. Well, I guess you're going home with something anyway, right?
Well, you could be, but I just think, I don't know. I think we need to focus more on the value of what we're offering, and it should be win-win. It should be a win-win. I think, the space I operate in, we're looking at win-win-win. So, the event, team, person, obviously us, Ticket Time Machine, fans, sponsors, and you're looking at the same thing too, because you have you're in the similar world that I'm in, where you're wanting to talk to events and maybe teams, it's around events, but also your stuff is a great activation or experiential marketing. So it's almost like, hey, you can go to Coke and say, let's do this, and then bring that to whoever you want. Hey, Coca-Cola wants to do this. Where do you want to do this? Go to them. So that's sort of what we're looking to do. What are you focusing on with regards to engagement and
right now?
I'll call them leads, but I guess they're leads.
So right now, I'm really focused on things that are still kind of happening while Corona is here. So like retail activations have never stopped. People are still going to stores shopping. So I'm looking to kind of get in more retail stores, and how can we create like an activation where people can still engage and create content in Kohl's or in IKEA or, you know, any type of where there's a lot of foot traffic. We've also been trying to get into airports. Because sad as it is, people haven't stopped traveling.
Yeah.
So it's a great way for brands to still create that engagement for travelers.
How about buses and trains?
It's a tricky thing about buses and trains because I don't know if they do a lot of activations like outside or like what that looks like. But I guess that could be kind of like a good market to kind of tap into as well. I gotta research more about buses and trains. Like, what would the kiosks be? How would that look, you know?
Maybe the stations, who knows? I mean, I think it's, you know, as you start, it's interesting. You just find new use cases for it, and it just could pop up in your head, or someone could mention something that, you know, it makes sense, but it's not really what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
And then you just give it a shot. I mean, that's really what it is. And then when something that works, you roll with it.
Yeah. Like I never thought that we'd be working with Shell. Like that's so random. Like a gasoline company, why would they want to use, you know, so it's just like those random, the most random case studies are the ones that work.
I was looking at, we were doing some sponsorship research, and if you start looking at all these events, attorneys are sponsors of these events all the time, like huge sponsors of events, attorneys. It's weird to think that, but you know,
they might need activation. They might need some tickets, right? Coming to the
they could advertise with us and use us as an activation. We know there's an attorney locally, a personal injury, and they sponsor everything, and they're giving away like seats and towels. It's pretty expensive. They're good because I use them. I don't know that it's going to help me with that. Think about it, but they perhaps could use something else. So it's.
Would you tap into that space for your company, like reaching out to attorneys and lawyers?
Yeah, we you know, I've reached out to companies and brands to talk about advertising and sponsoring and doing an activation at events, and we're, you know, I think that's eventually will be a very good avenue for us, because that to me is get the people who are interested, because it could, and then as you said, bring them to whatever event you want. You want to do the Mets, and then you come to them with X amount of dollars.
Yeah.
Opposed to you look at all these sponsorships on these decks, and I see like 25,000. I'm like, well, okay, what does that really get me? So you know, let's actually give something that someone can come away with. That's what I think for the sponsorship is, because it's got to last past the event. So don't give me something I'm going to throw away. Don't give me something I'm not going to use.
Yeah, I think that's the key. And it seems like, you know, the brands would realize that, you know, you have to create something memorable, and you putting your name on a piece of paper saying I'm a sponsor, people are just going to kind of bypass, you know, it's not memorable. So what are you doing to kind of create that engagement? That so when they get home, they're like, oh, this pencil's from Ticket Time Master. Oh my God, you know, something where they could they'll keep on seeing your name and realize that, you know, realize your brand.
Because when you go to an event and you get a survey, like afterwards, they'll say, oh, do you remember this sponsor or that sponsor? I'm like, no. I even get it on Waze. Waze is like, do you remember seeing an ad for McDonald's in the last week? And
I'm like, no.
I don't really check that out.
I'm like, did I create a GIF with them? Oh, that's why I remember.
Maybe, who knows?
Yeah.
It's just getting that, you know, it's just about getting visibility, and you just never know. I have a session on intakes next week. And one of the things I talk about is a measurable data. And that's, to me, people don't like to talk about it because you can't put a dollar sign on it.
Yeah.
But just think about, like you asked me about this, and I got this from Sticker Mule. They don't know I'm talking about Sticker Mule. So if you went and got a GIFs Out Loud and you went to Sticker Mule and you bought it, they would have no idea
how much you love it. You know what?
They have no idea that you got it from me. There's just things you can't track, and it doesn't mean it's not valuable.
Yeah. I was just talking to someone about this yesterday, and I was saying how important emotional ROI is. And like you said, we can't measure it, but I think that's kind of more important than realizing than bringing money back, because you're kind of creating that emotional, connection with your consumer. And there's really nothing that could overtop, how can you top someone loving your brand and talking about it, every chance they get,
Yeah, there's just a lot of things that you can't measure. Another example I talk about is I had a bad experience with a company that I had donated to.
Okay.
And they came back to me, and I got the same thing in the mail. Hey, you gave X amount last year. Would you like to give this? And I ripped it up and I threw it in the garbage because they didn't treat me like an ambassador. So why am I going to continue to support you?
Yeah.
So it's just, there's just a lot of ways that you can find value, but you can't measure it. And it's just about doing the right thing, I think.
Yeah.
If you do the right thing, if you put yourself out there, if you're visible, that's where I think you're going to start to see the growth. And if you want to measure stuff, that's fine. I know people they want to have an answer on how much am I going to get for this, or most of it, in my opinion, is funny math.
You're just making like future calculations that you don't know if or not it's going to be true or not, but you just want them you're trying to make them feel good, right? You're like, you might get this if you do, but it's like no one knows for sure. It
reminds me of the Tommy Boy scene with the guarantee on the package. Do you know that movie, Tommy Boy?
No, Tommy Boy. I'm writing it down. Tommy Boy.
I'll send you the clip.
Okay.
And I won't say it on here, but it's Tommy Boy. We're real pop culture on this show. We reference everything. Tommy Boy and what was the other one? Think about
the Seinfeld. You said Seinfeld.
Seinfeld, yeah. But think about like on a billboard. We got, Jenny $1 million for her accident, and then there's like the asterisk. Results may vary. Of course.
No, it reminds me of those commercials for the medications. And like actors are like running and like feeling all good. At the end, they're like, "You might die from cancer." It's like, okay.
Saturday Night Live has some funny stuff about side effects, and like the small print, and it's just like going and going and going.
Yeah, it never stops. Like, is it safe? Should I be taking? They look so happy. Maybe I should. But then you hear it at the end, you're like, hold on. This doesn't seem right.
We're talking pop culture. Let's talk a little bit about what does Chynna do when she's not focused on GIFs Out Loud, which is never. But let's just.
I know, literally.
Or Russ.
So I do a lot of acting still. So I'm in the board of this acting crew called the Tribe Collective. Okay. It's kind of like a group of actors that get together every Sunday, and we kind of do classes. We practice monologues. We set together like what kind of films we want to create once COVID's done, and we can kind of get back to filming again. So I'm really like immersed into like the acting scene in the Bay Area.
And you're a theater person?
Commercial, theater, all around. Theater.
You would like to be in theater?
No, I think I'm kind of going away from theater now and more in TV and film kind of acting. But they're so different because in theater you feel like you're actually connecting with the audience. Like I could look in the audience and see whether or not I'm making an impact on them, whether their facial expressions. With TV is so kind of like straightforward and it's not as big and animated as TV is.
I have so much respect for these theater people because there's no take two.
No.
It's all live.
You get one shot.
You start asking these TV people in the movies, like, hey, how many times did it take you to film that scene?
Yeah. You know what? Like 2 months ago, I was doing a commercial with Airbnb, like in November. November. And we were on set for like 10 hours. And it was just like one scene that they just kept on having to redo and make sure the light was right. That like everything was just, it's so time consuming. Whether it's you're on stage, you get 1 second, you got to make it work. If you mess up, you got to keep it moving, you know?
Do you have an actor or actress you would love to work with?
You know what? Who do I love? So this is actor. Have you heard of I May Destroy You?
No.
Her name, I think her name is Michelet Coyle. And I think I might get her name wrong. She's from the UK, but I think she's brilliant. And she's dramatic, but she's comedic as well. So it's like how she mixes the two, and it works so well. I would love to kind of work on anything that she has going on.
And how about a favorite show or movie? Do you have something you're watching now on Netflix?
Right now, I'm binge watching Shameless, and I'm so sad that I'm just now starting the show.
Shameless was that a Showtime?
Yeah, it was on Showtime.
Yeah.
Showtime. Have you seen it? Have you seen that show?
No, I didn't know. I haven't, and it's got a lot of seasons, right? I kind of have this.
Yeah.
I watched Schitt's Creek, which had 6 seasons, but they were real quick. But it's amazing how it's on Showtime, and it's fine. It does okay.
Okay.
And then it goes to Netflix, and it goes crazy. And we talked about this Cobra Kai and Schitt's Creek, and it's just like, was it? Did they not market it right? Was it just that they're more well known and there was more access to it? What's the reasoning? Because I say this all the time. It's these influencers are they have this audience, and that's good. There's a lot of good things about it, but there's a lot of bad things about it. But it's almost like you're just saying what is either common sense or what everyone, it's not your own stuff. You're just saying stuff from other people. And so if I said the same thing as someone who had, 100,000 followers on Twitter, and I said the same thing, it'd get a very different reaction, even though it's just, do people think it's great? Do they think it's funny? Who knows why? I
think it's access. Like, I don't think a lot of people tapped into. I don't think they have access to Showtime. They don't think they do, because you have to pay. It's like I think you have to pay more, right? Like on cable. Whereas Netflix, I think more people are signed up for Netflix, or you could share accounts on Netflix. Like, there's 10 people on one account, so I think there's more people on those platforms to kind of.
I don't think you're allowed to share accounts on.
I mean, they're not allowed, but people share passwords.
We don't want to get anyone in trouble here.
Oh gosh, sorry guys.
We don't want Netflix to be watching this and then they knock on the door.
Actually, they're not sharing accounts. They're just watching it all together at one house and one account.
Or how about this? How about you make it more affordable and make sure everyone has their own?
I know.
Charge less and make more.
And I think Netflix is raising their prices now, right? They just raised their.
I mean, it's still worth it. It's really worth it. They have great content between shows and originals, and I watch none. I think almost everything I watch is
Netflix.
Netflix is original. Like, I don't watch shows that, like Big Bang Theory. If I wanted to watch it, I would have watched it on network. Michael says, "Watch how we're live." We got some blackmailers, but yeah, their movies are great. Their original movies are great. Yeah. Their shows are excellent. And
Matt, did you watch Tiger King?
Of course, yeah.
What did you think? I think that was like the beginning of the pandemic.
I think that's what started everything. It's crazy. I
couldn't stop watching it. Like, I was literally like locked in.
And it's still relevant. People are still talking about it now. And Carol Baskin went on Dancing with the Stars, and these people it's just crazy. But there's so many. Think about how many people in your personal life who are probably worthy of a show. It's like people are nuts. I don't want to use that word. I don't like to use that word crazy or nuts. It's
But you know what? I think Tiger King was on a whole different level. I don't think anybody can tell that chaos. That was just on a whole different. It was like a train wreck. You didn't want to end because it was so entertaining. So like when you get to the last episode, you're like, hold on, there's no more. Like, I want this to keep going.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of that out there. I don't know, a lot more. I think I know a lot of stuff that's like, man, that's just
on Netflix.
Maybe my wife is she does family law, and she's
Got it.
stories about just
She
stuff.
hears a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, so I actually wanted to touch on this at the beginning, but obviously yesterday was MLK Day. Just have a few moments to tell us what that means to you, what you did yesterday.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on where we're at? How do you think we can move forward?
So, I think yesterday I think it was a great day for reflection, especially all what's happening in the United States, all what's happening this past year. And if you really take a look at Martin Luther King's words in his speeches that were 67 years ago, they still reign true to this day. I mean, it's still the exact message that needs to that needs to be said for what's going on right now. So it allowed me to reflect and think like we still have a lot to go. We still have a long way to even get to a point where everyone has equality or everyone's treated equally. It's still, I think it's kind of like a facade. We think it's getting better, and then we get like it starts to peel off. Like, oh God, that's still the same. Or it's just like I think we just have a lot. We have a lot to learn and to still move forward as a country.
So I think he would be disgusted if he was alive today to think this is 70 years later and we've had strides, but I mean, what's going on is terrible. And
but, I think this year was a great year for reflection in terms of you really got to see where people were on the side of history. Everything was in the open. You know what I mean? So you really got to see whether or not who's just walking, who's just talking the talk, and who's walking the walk, who's really about equality and about, making sure everyone is treated equally and police brutality. And then you got to see the people that were on the opposite sides. And it's like, okay, maybe I don't want to engage.
Yeah, that's a great point. That was what I was going to say next was you see it just became so easy to talk about, and people felt very comfortable talking about it and saying things that for 20 years they would be like, no, you can't say that.
Yeah.
They're saying it, and now it's either making people more uncomfortable and just maybe feeling less safe. I don't know. It's good and bad about having it out in the open. But you always say, would you would I want to have racist, like a button to know if someone's racist, or do I just want to not know?
Yeah.
And I'm torn between that because I have friends, who I think are not as anti-racist.
Yeah.
Like, they're not racist, but they're not anti-racist.
Yeah.
And so, sometimes you just be like, okay, this is my friend. This is what we do. And it's okay if he's not this way or that way.
Yeah. I think throughout the years, I gave people a lot of excuses, and I think last year was just like, there's no more excuses because everything's out in the open and you're either on one side or the other, so I can't keep on giving you, so like, they're just raised that way. Like they don't know anybody. Well, you have the internet. Everything's on the news. Like, it's just, there's no hiding things anymore. I think this year was just, everything was just peeled open. So it's like, there's no excuse for you saying, I don't know. I don't know, because there's video of things happening, Yeah.
Did you go right from, what kind of jobs did you have outside of college? It didn't sound like you had any, right?
No, I went straight in for my master's to my company.
That's awesome.
So and when I was in college, I think like my sophomore year in college, for the summer, I did like temp work for like one summer. And when I say, I was like, I would never work a 9 to 5 again in my life. I cannot wait to go home every day. I wasn't passionate about what I was doing. It was horrible. So I made it to myself. I would never just work just for the sake of working. I'm going to be passionate about what I'm doing.
That's awesome. The reason I asked that is because I've worked for a few companies that didn't have off for MLK Day. And my friends are like, do you have off? I'm like, no, my company doesn't like black people. And you laugh at that, right? But it's almost true. It's like, why would you not give off for that day? Like,
yeah,
day.
I thought you had to. No, you don't.
My friend was telling me yesterday he didn't have off. I'm like, that's crazy to me.
Wow. I think last year, now a lot of companies have Juneteenth off now, right?
I doubt that.
June. I think they try to make it.
I don't think so. Martin Luther King is bigger and well-known holiday, and there was a lot of people. And I'm not talking about retail. I'm not saying. And
yeah.
Maybe it should be off. If you really want to have a celebration, maybe they should be off.
Yeah.
You know, but there's just certain things I feel like they should. I just feel like they should have off, and you shouldn't have to work for it if you don't want to, especially if you're someone who's Black.
Yeah.
Work on holidays, but I have to use time off on Jewish holidays before. Like I had to take it for certain companies. I had to use my personal time off to take off holidays that are like the holiest days of the year for me.
Wow.
Like Christmas, I have off in Easter. I'm like, well, I'll work on Christmas and Easter. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, I care.
How do you feel about that? I feel like United States is supposed to be a hub of many cultures. That's what is supposed to make us so great, right? Yeah. So I think we should be highlighting every culture's, day off, other cultures, special day, because that's what makes us great. We come together and it's like eclectic. I want to learn more about the Jewish holidays. We didn't learn that in school. Why aren't we learning that?
Well, nobody knew about Juneteenth. That was in we'll do some more pop culture. Public Enemy has a redo of Fight the Power for 2020. And that was one of the lines. Nobody taught us about Juneteenth. Yeah. So it's it's important. I mean, that's if you talk to the people, and I'm not one of these people, but if you talk to the people who really understand the history of the struggle, with the racism and the underlying theme of it, that's what they were taught, especially out in the UK. Like, you open up a history book and it's all white old people.
Yeah. Well, I was just talking to someone saying that I didn't learn anything in high school in terms of real history. I mean, we still think like Columbus founded America. He didn't find it. So we have all these like fake history lessons that kids are growing up on and thinking that it's facts. In actuality, they don't really know any type of history that's the core of United States history, which is sad because we're raising these kids and they don't really know where they come from or like how this country was founded, or the brutality that really happened throughout the years,
Yeah. Well, look, I think, yesterday it probably got more attention than it did, and people were reflecting more upon it and trying to think about how we can just make it a better place to be and how we can get along. A long way to go, but let's see what happens next year at this time.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah, I'm hopeful too.
I think we have someone in charge that's not divisive and doesn't spew hatred. You know what I mean? So I'm hopeful that the climate will be a little different.
Yeah, tomorrow is an exciting day. I guess what does Kamala Harris being VP mean to you? What, as a female, as someone of color, what does it mean to you?
I think when I say it was so beautiful to see, because you don't really get to see a lot of African Americans, especially a lot of African American females in a state of power, so it's like it's possible for us to kind of be in these spaces and take up these spaces and kind of have an impression on the world, So I was super excited just for female power and for as the first African American VP.
No, it's interesting that people tell you you could do anything you want to do, or they could, there's nothing stopping you from being this, but until it happens, it becomes harder to believe.
Yeah.
People are like, well, okay, I want to be president of the United States, and I'm a female, but it's never been done. And think about the climb you have to do. And now, once that is done, then you're more comfortable, right? Anything's possible. That's what I was trying to say. Anything's possible. Sure, it's easy to say that, but when you see it happen, then it becomes, everyone feels like it's actually real and it's more possible.
Yeah.
So I always celebrate any type of history. I call it, I hashtag it herstory when the females Fuller on Vanderbilt kicking, and Amy is her name? No, Kim of the Marlins.
Okay.
GM, and it's great to celebrate that. But it's going to be great when we just celebrate that she is the GM, not because she's female or Asian or Black. So it's funny you keep saying that, but you're like, okay, but we want to make it so we don't need to celebrate that, or that's good, but we need to do better.
Yeah. I think people don't realize it's systematic as well, right? Such as like women's rights or African American rights. Everyone says like we live in America and everyone could be what they want to be, but there's certain blockage for different people that makes it harder for them to get to that place. So
But
I
they
think
don't believe that. That's the biggest problem. They don't believe that. And to change, it has to go from the top. And the people at the top don't believe it. So you need to get rid of those people and have the new people and the younger voices. I think with anything, maybe people feel like the leadership of certain things are too brash and they're too radical.
Mm-hmm.
And so that prevents people from getting behind the idea of like a Black Lives Matter. They hear a story about one of the leaders.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I also think that they're going to lose something as well. I think they think they're going to lose some type of power. And it's like your power, everyone's just going to have the same power. You're not going to lose anything in your life by making sure everyone has equality or everyone's treated the same or has the same opportunities as you do,
Yeah, it's I even posted this the other day. Like I acknowledge my privilege, and I don't call it white privilege. I just really call it privilege because some of it's because I'm white, but some of it's just because of a lot of different things. And really have to really be happy and grateful for what you have, and then try and help others when you can.
Yeah. I love that you said that because I think everyone has a certain type of privilege. I know I have a privilege of being able to start my company and having the support of my, everyone has certain that we have to be aware of, especially when we're, talking to other people and, networking and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's, that's part of the thing is and I don't apologize for it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't feel like I should be punished for it or apologize for it. You just have to be aware of it. And then compassionate about those who don't have that.
Yeah.
And I have there's a lot of privilege I have, that I look at friends of mine who are white who don't have that type of
privilege.
Haven't been lucky. I mean, even just the fact that I have no student loans.
Mm-hmm.
That's very.
Wow. Yeah, that's privilege. That's right there.
Yeah, I need to do a lot. It has, and it's. Look, I don't know. It's student loans can really you can do so much good, and you're treading water, or you never get over the hump.
Well, I'm hoping that Biden's kind of gets helps in a way of kind of combating some of our student loans. I'm crossing my fingers.
I saw an interesting thing, and this is sort of how I feel about a lot of different things out there in finance and in the economy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're saying, well, if you wipe out their loan, what about me? I had to pay my loan. And so
why are you stopping someone else's blessings?
Yeah.
It is done. Why block someone else's ability?
I see the point. I just feel like it's not that they shouldn't do that, but it's like maybe what should I get? And then the other thing I saw was great was just make it no interest. That's it.
So I have a question. So in society, right, they really push college onto us to say like you need to go to college to be successful, right? They kind of nail this into us, right? So as a society, if we need college to be successful, should we have to pay for college?
Moving forward, I agree. More people not. I mean, I see more and more people starting their own businesses and
without
so young. I mean, people in college are doing it.
Yeah.
And now high school. I heard a podcast yesterday. There's this 15-year-old. Well, he might not be 15 anymore, but he started out 15-year-old doing something for Barstool. He does Legos for Barstool Sports, like
wow,
digital Legos. And he got, 15 years old, and it's crazy. I wasn't even.
I wish I started that.
Of course, I wish I started. If I started 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I would be 15. But college is important. I think college is important because it's life.
Yeah.
It's a really good way to just get a crash course on life. And, you just got to kind of figure it out on your own, and you don't have someone to clean up your messes necessarily. And you're making mistakes, which is fine. Just learn from them.
And I think it's good to meet other people around the world.
Yeah.
Like, it opens up your mindset. It gets you familiar with other cultures and how people experience, and I think it just makes you kind of like a well-rounded person. So I think that's super, super important as well.
Yeah. So where I grew up in Marlboro, New Jersey. It's a middle class. It's a a lot of wealthy families, a lot of white people, a lot of Jews.
Okay.
And I get to Florida, and I met, there's a lot of Cubans and Hispanic and people who never really met Jewish people before.
Do they know? Do you have to tell people you're Jewish? Or
no, I don't know that people know I'm Jewish without me telling them.
Got it.
I don't think so. I don't get that. But even it's not necessarily Miami, but just certain parts of Florida, which are, and I never saw so many people driving a stick shift car. They don't
really
you didn't see anyone driving it in Marlboro or knew of anyone who drove a stick. And then very few people. I didn't know very many people who had parents who got divorced. And when I get to Florida, it's like a real common thing. I have a good friend of mine who went to grad school at Alabama, Birmingham.
Okay.
Shout out to Brian Paul and his wife, Jen. He meets his wife there. She probably never met a Jewish person in her life before she met him. And, growing up in Alabama, and now they're together, Orthodox, with 8 kids.
Wow.
So, it's crazy, learning about other people. Yeah. And not being afraid of them, because you really have to learn about the people. First of all, you should treat everyone
equal,
independently.
Yeah.
Or not not all Muslims are this, or not all Jewish people are like this.
Yeah.
There's bad people for every,
Yeah.
But you should. So if you hear stories and you're taught a certain way, and generally that's from your parents. Mm-hmm. It could just be. So that's just a good way in college to just. Depending on what school you go to, but most of them, I think you'll have, pretty diverse.
I think, but you nailed it on the head. I think that people have fear of what they don't know, and if you're not a part of a eclectic community, or you didn't grow up around people of different cultures, you fear what you're not familiar with. So so you get all these stereotypes in your head that are like you're just going from like TV or from reading it somewhere, and you really, really never had a true connection with that culture. You're gonna say all types of things, So I think that's why people need to travel and get out of the United States and go to different countries and have friends of all different types. It's a beautiful thing to have friends of every type of ethnic group, because it's fun just to learn their background. Their food is awesome, it's awesome, Do
you have a favorite place you've traveled?
I've been to Puerto Rico, which was beautiful.
Do the rainforest?
I didn't do the rainforest. I didn't do that. I went to. I'm like a big foodie, so I was trying a lot of like different restaurants. I've been to the Caribbeans, and I went snorkeling in the ocean. And
what was the food in Puerto Rico? The plantain.
It's super simple.
What is it called?
I call it plantains, but I think it's called
a dish. There's a dish. I'll have to remember. We ate it the first day in Puerto Rico. It was very good.
What kind of dish was it? It
was just the plantains. It was on the side, like a side dish. I can't remember what they did. I had the best shrimp and the best pork I've ever had
in Puerto Rico. I really want to go to Cuba.
Yeah.
If they open it back up again.
My sister went to Cuba.
How was it? How did she see
it? She went out with a group. It was a long time ago. It was like kind of when they first opened up.
Okay.
You can talk to her about it. You should ask her. I don't know if she's listening. She's probably working.
Got it. So that's another. I really also want to go to Kenya because there's a hotel in Kenya where you can sleep with the giraffes.
Oh,
so when you wake up, the giraffes are coming to your window, and you can feed them from the window. I think that's super.
There's a lot of hotels where the monkeys will climb up on your balcony too.
That's monkeys are a little more, humanized. I don't know. They might like jump.
You've seen too many movies.
I've seen too many movies.
Too many movies. Outbreak and Planet of the Apes. And
yeah. I'm like, hold on. I don't know if I want them jumping.
I love the little monkeys. Those are probably my favorite animal.
Really?
The zoo. Yeah, I love them. Just the small ones walking around. Awesome. Let's talk about Clubhouse. You introduced that to me.
You're on.
I got an invite. Harold. Okay. Did you connect?
Would you say it again?
Did you connect with Harold?
No, I'm gonna do that today. I don't think I did. I'm gonna do that today.
He's big on Clubhouse, and but you got, it seems like you've been on it for a while now.
I'm on it, but I'm on and off.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's so time consuming, and like I'm kind of busy every day. I don't have time to like just be on there for hours. People are on there like hours at a time just talking. I'm like, how do people have the time to just like kick back?
That's the investment. They think it's going to pay off. I don't know if it will or it won't.
Yeah.
Another platform. It's I don't know enough about it to say yes or no. Obviously, it's gaining steam. It's still in the beta phase.
Yeah. What did you think about it?
Make a lot of money. I just think one thing I don't like is I don't like one-way platforms.
Okay.
And if I'm in a big room with 90 people and I'm just listening to someone talk, I don't know how that's any different than me listening to their podcast or, this LinkedIn Live. But, and even with this, I have comments. So if someone's watching and you want to have a comment or ask a question, you do it. And we're, look, we pop it up. We involve you in the show. I actually can bring someone in the show if they were in the audience and we wanted to bring them in. So, I don't like one-way relationships. And I think that's kind of what Clubhouse is. So if you can't be that person who's running the room or getting asked to speak in that room, then it's just, for me, it's just educational. And is there education stuff there? Sure. But I have 100 different ways I could
do that. I think it's meant to be engaging. Like it's meant for people to bring people into the room and have conversations.
Yeah.
But I think it's gotten just like a little clicky. So people just kind of like bring their own people on to have conversations. So it's pretty much like a podcast. But I think there are some rooms that do it well and that allow people to come up and speak their truth or whatever they have to say. But also on the platform, you get a lot of people that just like to talk. You know what I mean? Like they just like to hear themselves talk.
Yeah.
They're not really experts in it. It's just like they sound good and they're just going to keep rolling with it. So you get a lot of that as well.
It's basically just like a show. That's it, a radio show.
Yeah, just opinions and
Are there black rooms? Because I see at first when I heard of you told me about Clubhouse and Harold's on Clubhouse and you're the only two people I know on Clubhouse. I'm like, maybe maybe they're not going to invite me in here. Is this a black thing? And then you see these rooms and I heard not one, and I heard the N word repeatedly.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, I'm gonna.
There are some crazy rooms. So they're not just black rooms. I don't know how their algorithm is because people were saying that it seems like the black people are geared to more like black content and the white people are. So I don't know how they were, how they were filtering it out. But people are coming up with some crazy. There was a moan room where people were just paying people to moan in the room. I'm like, people just have too much time on their hands. I mean, they're just doing crazy, crazy rooms. It's not so much educational anymore.
No, I'll get on there more and test it out. It's just the same as you. I'm trying to be everywhere and also take care of a lot of other different things. I mean, I'd love to, just be and talk to people all day because I love to hear their stories and find out more about them and it's great, but I can do this maybe a couple times a week, and
man, you should start a panel of
that's one thing I'll start to think to do. You have to sort of set it out, right?
You can schedule it and put it on people's schedules, and they could kind of tap into it once it launches.
Yeah, I think I'll try and do that. We're running up against the hour here. Tell people how they can interact with you, how they can engage with you, how can they help you? What do you need? What would be helpful for you right now? And
got it. So right now, I'm looking to acquire more brand partnerships. We're looking just for more brands that are wanting to engage their audience in a cool way, in a way that engages with your sonic identity. And a lot of brands don't have a sonic identity. So we also develop sounds and sonic sounds to engage with their audience on a more emotional and deeper level. So if you know any pop-up brands, any retail brands, any type of brands that engage with consumers directly, definitely keep me in mind and reach out. I'm always on LinkedIn. So reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn 24/7. So reach out to LinkedIn. And I would love to meet anyone and just have a conversation, see how I can support whatever you're doing. And it's all about supporting and kind of how we can build this community to support each other.
I didn't even get to ask you, what is that behind you?
So this is like, I think it's a female Buddha. It's
Okay.
like feng shui, like a female Buddha in the back.
It's only part of it though, right? That's a big picture.
It's like her head. Let me see.
And it's
It goes all the way down.
panel art too. I love it.
Yeah.
Right? Like breaks up.
Yeah.
I see you got some. I always love to talk backgrounds. I think it's, what are those pictures on your wall?
So it's like African American art in the back. So I love art, different type of art. So I just got these, I think like last week, and it's kind of like strong poses of African American artists in the back.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So
I got the Asian right here. I got the African American right there.
we love it all. I think it's all, I love unique and interesting, and it just tells you more about the person. That's what you try and get, art that tells you more about who you are and how you feel. I love fan art. I'm a big fan art guy, pop culture and sports, and I've been collecting and trying to get some more stuff that I'll be able to post on or put up on my wall and in my entertainment room, as we're calling it. I would like to end the show with some rapid questions. And
Okay.
So do you have a favorite food?
I love sushi. So I've been going to this sushi restaurant since I was like a little girl, and we have our own Morgan roll.
Okay.
So he made it specifically for our family. So I get a type of sushi.
Yeah.
I love shrimp and cream cheese in any sushi that I have.
Oh, okay.
I have to have cream cheese in my sushi.
Guy. Do you eat like bagel or JB rolls?
Oh, I love salmon on my bagels.
Salmon is my favorite.
Is it? Hold on, what's the little things on top of the salmon bagel?
Oh, the roe?
No, it's great. Is it oh, I forgot the name of it. It's kind of like a soury taste, and they're like little circles.
Yeah, it's the fish eggs, I think.
No, not fish. But the fish eggs are good as well.
Yeah.
I can't think of the name.
Do you have a favorite movie? I know we talked a little bit about acting.
Okay, I really like Tropic Thunder. Have you seen Tropic Thunder? That's one of my favorite movies. I think that movie.
Cameo, how about the cameo at the end?
Which was Tom Cruise dancing at the end?
How great was that? I think that was the outtakes too, or the outtakes were great.
It was, and I love Robert Downey Jr.'s role. He was hilarious in that role.
That's a very underrated movie, Tropic Thunder. What would you be doing if you weren't doing what you're doing? Like, I know you talked about acting, and you're in part of that, but do you have something that you thought, man, this would be great to do as you were growing up?
I think I'll start another company. I think I love starting businesses and kind of like taking ideas and bringing them to life. So I think I'll probably just be a full-time entrepreneur and just having my hands in a lot of different hats, and real estate investing as well. And
we'll end it with this. You have one person you could hang out with. They have to be living. You're spending 24 hours a day, 24 hours with them. Who is it, and what are you guys doing?
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. I've never thought about this. I don't know. Maybe Warren Buffett. Yeah. I think everyone says that, but I just want to really learn more about investing and kind of like building my portfolio. So maybe that, but I feel like that's so typical. Everyone says him, right? Like Warren Buffett.
We've gotten Warren Buffett yet. I think we did get Bill Gates. Okay. I'd have to go back and review the tape. Anyway, Chynna, always great to talk to you. I'll have a networking event tonight.
I'll be there.
There. If you get lucky in the algorithm, you might meet more of my family.
Yay!
People there.
I love meeting your sister. I was like, oh, that was so random. I was like, wait a second.
Yeah. So GIF Out Loud. Chynna Morgan, follow her on Instagram, connect with her on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And appreciate your time. Thanks for coming to the Wolf Den.
Thanks for the invite, Matt. It's always a pleasure chatting with you. I always have a good time.
We'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot, everyone. We have an episode tomorrow, so tune in tomorrow.
Awesome. See you. Bye.